Hello everybody and welcome back to round 13 of the 1994 season as part of my Custom F1 series on the game F1 Challenge 99 to 02. The 13th round of the season brings us to the European Grand Prix at Jerez in Spain. So it's the second track this season to be hosted in Spain, and it's classed as the European Grand Prix, so you can't have two Spanish Grand Prix. And it's actually a very enjoyable track. I forgot how much I actually enjoyed this track. It works very well with these cars as well. It wouldn't work well with, let's say, the 2021 Formula 1 cars or the 2022. They're going to be too big for this track. But for the 1994 cars, nice, small, nimble little things. It actually works quite well. And we're into that hairpin where Villeneuve and Schumacher came together in 1997. But, of course, Villeneuve's not even in the sport at this point, and Michael Schumacher drives for Benetton and not Ferrari. This is my fastest lap in qualifying though. I'm already 3/10 up through the first sector. My first lap was a 31 point something. It's about 4.5 seconds off Senna's time, who's on provisional pole right now, and it's quite late in the session. So I'm 26th out of 28th right now, which is not too good. We've had some good qualifying performances this season, a few in the top 20, and I'm hoping to kind of replicate that today. After this Grand Prix, we're going to have two races in Japan, because we're going to go for the Pacific Grand Prix at Fuji Speedway and then to Suzuka, and then the final race will be Adelaide, of course. As here we are into the final corner on my qualifying lap, and we're already up by 1.1 seconds through the first two sectors, and across the line it's going to be a massive improvement on my previous best. It's a 30.6. It's 20th place right now, but where are we on the starting grid? And here are the qualifying results for the European Grand Prix. Senna is on pole position with Schumacher only a 10th behind. Then we have Damon Hill and Jos Verstappen on the second row of the grid. The two McLarens occupy the third row, Hakkinen ahead of Brundle, and then the two Ferraris of Alesi and Larini on the fourth row of the grid. Andrea de Cesaris starts down in 9th place with Mark Blundell, the lead Tyrrell, rounding out the top 10. Ukyo Katayama, Blundell's teammate, starts from 11th, with Eddie Irvine in 12th place. The 7th row of the grid consists of Heinz-Harald Frentzen in the second Sauber and Rubens Barrichello in the second Jordan. The second half of the grid looks like this. Olivier Panis, the lead Ligier, only managing 15th place, which is complete contrast to Ligier's performance a couple races ago, especially at the Italian Grand Prix. The two footworks of Morbidelli and Fittipaldi 16th and 17th, and Eric Bernard in the second Ligier down in 18th place. Olivier Beretta quite a few positions ahead of his teammate. He starts from 19th, and Kaya Mahendra, for I think only the second time this season, out-qualifies his teammate Mika Salo. Mahendra starts from 20th. The two Minardis, Martini and Alboreto, 21st and 22nd, with Comas down in 23rd. Mika Salo only managing 24th place today. Roland Ratzenberger, Alessandro Zanardi, Johnny Herbert and David Brabham complete the starting grid. So here we are at Jerez for the European Grand Prix of 1994. This circuit is a fairly average length circuit, 4.4 kilometres, and features 13 corners with 69 laps today, and there's no rain like there was last time out. At the Portuguese Grand Prix today we have dry conditions for the current and predicted, and there's a two-stop strategy for both Salo and Mahendra, similar pit stop laps as well to get us to the end of the race. Well, there's only one more thing to do, and that's go racing. The 1994 European Grand Prix is next. And here we are lining up on the starting grid, awaiting the lights, 4 lights and 5. The 1994 European Grand Prix is underway, and we get hit by the Lotus. I think of Johnny Herbert. He hits into the back of my rear wing there, but no damage done. As into the first corner we got the inside, and my teammate Mahendra diving up the inside of multiple drivers. I think Mahendra's already into the top 15. And might even make further overtakes into turn 2. I can see him on the inside. You can just see him up ahead, and look at that. One of the Minardis straight up the inside, overtaking his teammate as well, as we're in 22nd place, so I've gained a couple of positions already. I'm ahead of Beretta in the Larousse, and now I'm behind Christian Fittipaldi in the footwork, who I'm pretty sure started all the way up in maybe 16th or 17th place, so he's lost quite a few positions off the start. But as far as opening laps go, I'd say it's an okay one. We're not making a lot of positions, we're not losing a lot of positions crucially, but we're kind of holding station Into the hairpin we go. We got the inside there of Fittipaldi. Alboreto was there in front of me, and Martini was the guy who dived up the inside of maybe 5 drivers into turn 2, and he's made another position up on one of the Ligiers. I believe it's Eric Bernard. So that's Martini already up into, what, 18th place? So a good start from him, good start from the Minardi driver. As I'm in 21st, so I've gained a couple positions. I'm ahead of the usual suspects, and my teammate has made an absolutely fantastic start. If my teammate has the reliability to continue for the whole duration of this race, it could be a great result here for Kaya Mahendra. Here's the view from the start, and Senna gets a great launch off the line and leads going into turn 1. Michael Schumacher tries up the inside, can't make it work, and has to settle for 2nd place, whilst Damon Hill holds station in 3rd and Jos Verstappen in 4th. Lap 2, and I'm under pressure from the footwork of Fittipaldi behind me, and as I run slightly wide in this left-hander, he swoops by. We're side by side into the right-hander. He's got the outside line. He's going to take the position away from me. Cuts that line off for me in the following right-hander, that 90-degree corner that we've just gone through. And I'm down to 22nd place. But throughout, especially this last sector here, the 3rd sector, I'm so much quicker than these drivers around me. I feel like I've got the pace, if I'm in clean air, to really make an impact. But during half of the 1st sector, and especially the middle sector, it's where I'm losing a lot of time to the drivers around me on track. But look at this, down the main straight as we start lap 3, I'm thinking about a move up the inside of Fittipaldi, who's in turn thinking about a move up the inside of the Minardi, and he's going to go for it into turn 2 here, up the inside. They're side by side. I'm trying to get in on the action. Maybe I can get past Alboreto as well, but it's not quite working out for me. But I'm definitely at least on pace with these guys. End of lap 4, it's the final corner, and I get a great run onto the main straight. I'm already side by side with Alboreto and ahead of him as we go across the line to start lap 5, and that means with the inside line into turn 1 I take 21st position. Next up is Christian Fittipaldi, and it's the end of lap 5, and once again down the main straight I'm in a position to make an overtake. This time I'm going to have to outbrake the footwork into turn 1, and I do exactly that. I'm up into 20th place then. Olivier Panis in the Ligier next up, 3.5 seconds ahead. On to lap 7. I'm making steady progress, I'd say, through this race so far, making a couple overtakes, and then we absolutely throw that progress away. We've spun on the exit of the hairpin. I think that's turn 6 or turn 7. We're going to fall all the way down to 25th place. We're just ahead of Brabham and the Lotus of Zanardi. I think Herbert is behind as well, but I've fallen down. I've maybe lost about 6 or 7 seconds there, so we're going to have to work on closing the gaps up again. And here I am on the back of Ratzenberger. I'm in a position to make an overtake down the main straight. I've got the inside line. I've just got to be careful under braking. I don't want to lose it. I don't want to crash into the LaRouche drivers ahead of me. And I take that position up to 24th. And then on the exit of the first corner, I've lost it again and into the wall. That's a heavy impact. Yeah, I've got damage. It's not visible damage, but we're going to fall down to last place then. And I'm going to have to switch up the strategy. I could still go do a 2-stop from here. I'm going to put a set of hard tyres on and extend the middle and last stint, but this is just going to switch up our strategy, so we're going to just be out of sync with everybody. But we definitely have lost, well, in total with the 2 spins, maybe about 12 seconds in time. Whilst I was busy spinning, Alboreto had a massive brake failure, sliding off and heavily into the barriers. Hopefully he's okay, but it's a big incident and he's out of the race. So here we are into the pits. The only pit crew out in pit lane, of course, and we were already about 5 seconds behind Herbert when we went into the pits, so we are going to be a whole pit stop behind the rest of the grid, as Alboreto has retired on the previous lap, well, this lap 10. So we're going to rejoin in 27th, which is last place on the road, and we've also, to add insult to injury, we've been lapped. About quarter race distance now, Senna leads Schumacher with Hill in 3rd. Larini is actually up in 4th place, but has a whole host of cars behind him, as you can see on screen. Martin Brundle, Jos Verstappen and John Alesi all vying for that 5th place. Lap 18, both Simtex have been into the pits. Brabham rejoined ahead of me, Ratzenberger behind me, but Brabham went for an earlier stop, and I'm actually struggling to keep up with him. He's very, very fast. I think he might be on a 3-stop strategy. He's been about half a second ahead of me since coming out of the pits, which was about 3 laps ago. I'm not really making any inroads, but we are pulling away from Ratzenberger behind, so that's at least a plus, a positive, and we're just waiting for everybody else to come into the pits, which will be around the next few laps, I think, for all the 2 stopping drivers. Okay, never mind. I feel like I'm in a position to make an overtake here. In the slipstream, we're gaining slightly. I'm going to go for the move up the inside, braking later than Brabham. He just about sees me when he's turning into the apex of the first corner, and I take that position away from David Brabham and Simtek. We're up into 25th. Johnny Herbert's 4 seconds ahead. I'm guessing he's pit, but then again, he was only about 15 seconds ahead of me before Brabham came out of the pits, so maybe Herbert has not actually been into the pits yet. Lap 21 and Senna into the pits for his first out of, I assume, 2 scheduled stops, and that means Michael Schumacher, who was about 6 seconds behind the Brazilian before the stops, takes the lead of the race. I've caught up to both Lotus cars and one LaRousse car, so lap 23 I'm dragging David Brabham with me, and that's Johnny Herbert going into the pits. So we had not pits, so we've actually closed that whole pit stop gap that we had after our spins. And David Brabham, he's got to be on a 3 stop, he's so quick. He's just sticking to the back of me like glue. And now we've got an opportunity to try and get past Zanardi, and I don't know which LaRousse it is. It's either Comas or Beretta. But we've got a really good chance here to gain some positions. It's disaster for Mahendra and Streamline yet again. Poor reliability letting them down. Mahendra peeling off into the pit lane to retire due to gearbox failure. Brabham is actually putting me under so much pressure, and I make a slight mistake there, a bit of understeer in the dirty air, and I go wide across the grass and gravel, and Brabham slips by, so Brabham's once again ahead of me. I've only lost about 2 seconds, but we need to close that up again. Lap 26, Brabham has already made his way past Zanardi and the LaRousse, and now I need to try and keep up with the Simtek, so I dive up the inside of Zanardi. It was Beretta, the LaRousse ahead, so we've just managed to get past Zanardi into turn 2, and next up is Olivier Beretta. But look at that, the Simtek of David Brabham is absolutely on fire right now. It worked quite well going up the inside of Zanardi into turn 2 on the previous lap, and as I feint to the inside to make Beretta defend turn 1, I'm going to dive up the inside of Beretta into turn 2. I make the apex comfortably because it's a banked corner really, and we take 21st place, and we're going to keep up with David Brabham in the Simtek, who's into the top 20 now. He's having the race of his career so far. The lead switches once again with Schumacher into the pits, and that elevates Senna back into the race lead, and Senna will now have a massive gap back to Schumacher, maybe about 15 seconds. It's all over for Mika Häkkinen. He's going to be the next retirement from this race, peeling off into the pit lane. This is a bit of a strange one. It's suspension failure on the entrance to the pit lane, so he just stops where the pit lane speed limit starts. Eric Bernard has some sort of technical failure. He's stuck in gear, so it's got to be a gearbox issue. And as he's coasting around the track, he's trying to stay out of the way of other drivers and collects one of the footworks there and loses his rear wing. So Eric Bernard is going to retire from this race. Verstappen lapped me and Brabham a few laps ago, and I'm losing time to Brabham. Brabham is sticking to the back of the Benetton, looking for ways to overtake. I don't know what's going on, as Eric Comas is into the pits, so we're going to gain a position there and up to 19th. No idea what's going on. It must be Brabham's fuel load or something. He is sticking to the back of the Benetton, waiting for an opportunity to overtake and unlap himself. You can't write things like that. What's going on? Why is Simtek suddenly really good? I'm not sure. And here we are at half race distance. Senna leads Schumacher, Hill in 3rd, Verstappen now up into 4th place. So Laurini's slipped down to 6th during the last 17 laps or so. As we're currently looking at, I think that's Eddie Irvine down in 9th place. Oh, it's actually Rubens Barrichello down in 13th place. Solid race for the Jordan driver down in the midfield right now. So David Brabham has been into the pits a few laps ago. It's now lap 39. I'm going to go into the pits for my final stop. We did have to change the strategy due to the spins and the damage we picked up earlier on. So we're going to have a 30 lap stint to finish this race, assuming we actually finished on the lead lap, which we of course won't. So maybe about 28, 27 lap stint. I'm going to put the hard tyres on. I'm going to fill up for 30 laps just in case. And we're going to rejoin, well, we'll see in a second. It's quite a long stop. There we go. We're going to rejoin possibly ahead of David Brabham. It's going to be pretty close. If he's on that 1 stop, the 2 stop, the 3 stop, I don't know what strategy he's on, but we're going to rejoin here behind Eric Comas. Eric Comas is ahead of me now, so I'm in 19th place. David Brabham is 1.5 seconds behind, so we actually managed to get the jump on David Brabham. So very, very good stop there by the Streamline Engineering pit crew. I have quickly caught up to the LaRousse of Comas, and through turn 1 I'm almost side by side, but into turn 2 and we're going to do that, the usual move, let's call it that, up the inside of Comas. Position gained up to 18th, Olivier Panis 21 seconds ahead. Could I possibly catch? I'm not sure if he needs to pit again. I think he does, but you only lose not that much time in this pit lane, let's say maybe 18 seconds. So right now we need to get within about 18 seconds of Olivier Panis to make sure we're ahead when he goes into the pits. Another gearbox failure. It's Andrea de Cesaris coasting around there and will go into the pits to retire his car. The Sauber is out on lap 46. I was making good progress up until this point. I got a blue flag, so I tried to go wide to let the car through. I managed to actually get stuck in the gravel and lose a whole bunch of time. I managed to get the gap down to Olivier Panis to 9 seconds, and now it's back up to 17.5 seconds. So I managed to lose 8 seconds there through my own, well, nothing but my own fault. Lap 48, Senna into the pits for his second and final stop, and he's going to rejoin only a few seconds behind Michael Schumacher. There's a Benetton there of Jos Verstappen, but Jos Verstappen is already a lap down. As we're moving on to lap 50, Michael Schumacher in the lead right now because of Senna's pit stop. I think Schumacher is coming into the pits soon as well. Damon Hill right now in 3rd place. Martin Brundle now ahead of Jos Verstappen in 4th. Larini ahead of his teammate Alesi, so Larini could be scoring some points today. And with Schumacher into the pits on lap 50, Ayrton Senna back into the lead of the race, and he's got pretty much a pit stop cap back to Michael Schumacher. Unless something drastically bad happens, Ayrton Senna is going to cruise to victory today. And here's the battle for the points positions. This is Martin Brundle versus Nicola Larini. I think this is for 5th place in this race. But into turn 1, Larini brake failure, completely goes off the track and heavily into the wall. Larini possibly suffering some injuries there. That was a big impact with the wall at turn 1. And David Brabham, who's having such an amazing race today on a 3-stop strategy, is going to come undone today. Straight into the wall as he was coming into the pits for his final stop. He's out of the race. A big impact with the concrete wall at the pit entrance sees the Simtek out of this Grand Prix. On to lap 58, and I've closed up to the back of Olivier Panis, who clearly did not need to pit again. He might have been on a 1-stop strategy. We're in 16th place right now, and down the back straight I'm in the slipstream of the Ligier. I'm kind of losing a bit of time, but I'm going to go for it under braking. Brake later than the French driver, and I take the position. We're up to 15th place. Heinz-Harald Frentzen now, with about 10 laps to go in this race, is 4.5 seconds up the road, and apparently he's got a bit of damage, so he's a bit slower than he should be. So that could be another position. Lap 59, and I'm on the back of Frentzen. Like I said, he was carrying a bit of damage, and I can clearly see that there. He must be down on, I don't know, maybe downforce, maybe he's got front wing damage. But up the inside into the final corner, we take the position away from him. Pierluigi Martini 17 seconds ahead. That's not going to be a position we're aiming for, but 14th place, that could be a very respectable finish. Senna is 1 step closer to claiming his 4th World Championship and first for Williams in his debut season for the team. He just needs 1 more point now to ensure victory in this year's championship as he rounds the final corner, and after 69 laps of racing will cross the line to win the 1994 European Grand Prix. And here we are on the final lap. Senna wins, as we know. And I'm about to round the final corner. I'm going to finish in 14th place. There's not been too many retirements in the race, but it's been a solid race from me. Only a few mistakes. Without the mistakes, maybe we could have finished 12th. If we take away maybe 20-25 seconds of our time without all the mistakes. But it's not been too bad. I think that's a respectable finishing position. On to the race results. Ayrton Senna wins a European Grand Prix where he's 1 step closer to the World Championship. Michael Schumacher can only manage 2nd place in a race he crucially needed to finish ahead of Senna. Damon Hill rounds out the podium. Jos Verstappen, Martin Brundle and John Alesi. The rest of the points finishers all 1 lap down. Then we have a whole host of drivers 2 laps down and 3 laps down and 4 laps down, with 21 finishers in total, with only about 7 drivers retiring from this race. we have 3 races to go in the championship, and the gap is 29 points between first place Senna and second place Schumacher. If Schumacher wants to win this championship, he'll have to win all 3 of the remaining rounds and hope that Senna scores 0 points. Senna, mathematically, just needs to score 1 point to ensure that he is champion. I'm almost going to place my house, even though I don't own one, on him actually winning the championship. It's pretty much all done and dusted. John Alazy almost at the 50-point mark. He's of course out of the championship battle now. At least the Constructors' Championship is still somewhat on. The gap at the top is 25 points. We have 3 races to go, which means there's 48 points on offer for the teams, so nothing is ensured yet. Williams has not won it yet, not like Senna has won it yet, but you know what I mean. Benetton is still in the running. Ferrari can now not win the championship. It is between Williams and Benetton, and because of Streamline's brilliant 7th place finish the other race, they're in 10th place, which is very, very good for their finances come the end of the season. And once again, a quick look at the feeder series. That was Formula 3000's final race of the season. I think it was German Formula 3 and British Formula 3's final races of the season as well as Italian Formula 3, I'm pretty sure has been wrapped up. I think there's only one series still going, which might be Japanese Formula 3. I think that's the only one that's still got races to be completed. Of course, British Formula 4 has finished now, and Australian Formula 4 was finished quite a while ago. And that is the end of the race then. We had 36,000 before this race. We now have 27,000. 3 races to go. We're losing close to 10k a race. We're going to be in minus figures by the end of the season. That's why that 10th place in the Constructors is so important. The next race, as you would have heard earlier on in the season, we moved the Pacific Grand Prix from the AIDA circuit to the Fuji Speedway. So the Pacific Grand Prix will be at Fuji Speedway, which has been revamped for this season. They've been working on it all the way through this year since it was announced that we'd switch to that circuit. So hopefully we're all looking forward to that race. Hopefully it'll be a good one. The morale not looking good for Mahendra, it never is, but it's looking good for Salo. And that's the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Check out all the social media links down in the description and join the Discord server. We're close to 200 members now. That's all I have to say. I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.